Hey, good morning, guys. There's been about a month or so since my last video talking about builds. I think last time we were going over the Masamune build, and after that I put out something on the patch when it happened. And there were a lot of assassin changes, and I've had some time with all of them. I've soloed Nightmare. I've been playing a lot of that lately. Um, I pretty I feel like I pretty strongly understand the character as well as just about anybody at this point. And I have three builds that I would just like to get circulating. They are kind of a compilation of either builds that I found looking through other people's videos and stuff that I put together just from like many hours of testing, soloing, going for speed runs, etc. I just wanted to put out my uh, three favorite builds. They just all do kind of different stuff, and I have different purposes for them. Uh, my levels on credentials here in case you want to look at those. But anyway, so this is the first build. Well, no, it's not. Hang on one second. Where is it? Yeah. Okay, here we are. So this is what I call the Immortal Assassin build. This is what I use for soloing, and if I'm just casually running, and I feel like this mostly reflects my playstyle and what I think is most important. Just as a quick rundown, you've probably seen this or something similar before, but this build works because it has so much built-in sustain and a lot of really good synergy. Um, you can see Water Katana, we're running melee damage, Oni damage, and Burning Blade with Water Master. I really like this setup. You notice there's a double stack of Oni damage. That's going to apply to bombs and everything else you do, including your barrels, including everything else. So it's really essential to have that because that ends up leading into all of your damage. So that's going to be a common thread in these builds. Burning Blade, I really like, and the main reason you are using that instead of say like Way of the Flame is Burning Blade is one less cooldown to keep track of, and it also procs frequently during ult, which is really nice. You can stack Burning Blade and Poison Blade. That's also really cool. I like Water Master a lot for just building Resolve really quickly. This is the build I'm using for soloing, which kind of leads into the next item. Forbidden Medicine stacks extremely well with Refreshing Vanish. And so you're doing that because sometimes you're just surrounded by like huge masses of enemies, and you just need to be able to throw like a bomb or two at your feet to keep you alive. And you're basically always riding between having either your healing vanish to heal or your forbidden medicine to keep you alive and do some DPS to get your resolve back, to get your cooldowns back, to get your healing vanish back. You have to use one of the slots for Assassin Unlock. I still think this is far superior to the regular bomb pack for most builds, but yeah, I just think it's really good, best damage. Moving on, I think this is the slept on treasure, probably most OP charm in the game right now. And it's because of its unique ability for you to be able to stack ultimate damage and Oni damage. Most charms force you into a spot of where you're taking either fire or melee or something else, but having these two really ramps up the damage you do on your ult. And you'll notice looking down through here that I have Fire Master, which is kind of a given, but health increase is the most crucial stat if you are soloing. Losing two camps and not having health increase just pretty much guarantees you die from like the first random hit or two you take from anything. Health increase is super duper necessary for soloing. If you don't know that, now you know. Um, and kind of wrapping up here, it's real typical smoke bomb, but Spirit Kunai has pretty much revealed itself to be the bomb user's best friend. Even with last patches or previous patches nerfs from 10 seconds down or 15 seconds down to 10 seconds, You can still see it just having insane damage using hidden blades. Hit a wave a couple times with some bombs, throw some kunai, you're guaranteed to get them back. In soloing, this is amazing. Like, you can get your hidden blades kunais back just over and over again versus big waves of enemies if you are weighing out your damage. This also works really well in correlation with an ability I take just for soloing, Deft Hands, which came out last patch. So I'm kind of skipping down to here because Deft Hands really gives you a reason to not just do assassinations, which for me fell a little bit to the like backside of how I play the assassin. I was doing a lot more like ulting, water stancing, just working on getting resolve and bombs back than I was doing assassinations until this came out. But in the case of having big sets of enemies around you, it's really nice to occasionally slow down the action, pop a couple crit strikes to just get cooldowns back, and then clean up the wave with Spirit Kunai. Um, Crit strike a lot of the time almost kills enemies. That's kind of virtual what it does, but it puts them at a perfect health balance to get killed one shot by Spirit Kunai. So in some senses, it's better to get a Deft Hands crit strike into Kunai than it is just a straight up assassination. Because instead of just 3 seconds, you're getting like 18 or whatever it is, 10, 13. So this is the Immortal Assassin build. I love it. I cleared solo with it. Highly recommend trying to build this if you are interested in doing that kind of thing. Moving on. So some slight gear changes as far as what I run for Nightmare Survival. I mean, the Immortal Assassin build works just fine for this. There's kind of two other options. You can either run double legendary Masamune's Edge, which I know I did a similar build to before. If you do that, you sub out for the regular bomb pack, and this is what the build looks like. We're not stacking melee damage like we used to, just because the utility charm is just much stronger in my opinion than the melee charm or the assassin charm for this kind of thing. But if you run this or just the regular sword and you're taking Poison Blade is the big difference. You don't really need Deft Hands in Nightmare. As if you have help, you're not going to get a whole lot of virtue from Deft Hands, but you're going to get a ton of extra damage from Poison also doing damage. You don't necessarily need to take Toxic Vanish because, as you'll see with our next build, you're not going to get that much virtue out of it unless you have a Toxic Vanish radius. But this build, if you want to run single legendary, you can do it like this. I think it's either stronger with a Masamune's Edge or, like I said, regular Forbidden Medicine. This is really high burst, specifically because Poison Blade and ideally you want your Way of the Flame to either be Burning Blade or Water Master here. I've just been having bad luck re-rolling, and Way of the Flame is fine, but yeah. So if you're emphasizing poison damage, make sure that you have something that is popping Poison Blade. Otherwise, it's not worth it to take the stat. But this is a really good solo build, or not solo build, team build if you're trying to go for speed. Last but not least, another slight gear change puts you more into the range of a traditional assassin build in the terms of maybe what the character was designed to be used as. So what we're seeing here is just subbing out the blowgun and the charm. So running back through the items, like I was saying, this is almost your like perfect sword. You'd want to swap out Way of the Flame for either Burning Blade or Water Master, but this works fine, melee and oni damage. So on Blowgun, you're taking status effect damage and stealth attack damage, shield piercing ammo. Some people really will swap hallucination darts in for helmet piercing. That way your gun just can't miss. If you've played much with the blowgun, you know you run out of ammo pretty quick if you're not being pretty efficient with it, and having it not register sucks pretty bad. So you're stacking this with your assassin charm and synergizing with smoke bomb, so you have enough stealth attack damage. With this build, you can even run single legendary if you want. I still don't particularly love single legendary. I'd probably take like Masamune's. Um, so we switch that back. Gears, Masamune. Yeah. So you've still got, notice there's Poison Blade on that, and then you're getting poison from this. And here's a big shift, is Assassin Charm. Uh, really a poison build is not complete without this set of stats. You want as high as possible stealth attack damage and toxic vanish radius. I got a really good roll here, so I love this charm. I'm still taking health increase because I have played around with soloing with this. If you didn't take that, you would probably want Fire Master for the damage, or if you really like it, Hysteria. Hysteria is god tier for stalling. I don't think it's that great for speed. And last, you're taking Chain Vanish. I think a lot of people take Assassin Charm just because they really like this perk. I don't get nearly as much use out of it as I do Fire Master or Health Increase. But with Toxic Vanish, because that is resetting and sending your cloud back out, it's really, really important that you get good assassinations, even if it's off small enemies, so that you're proccing this at least twice. You can optionally take the 5-hit ult to get as much out of as possible. Say if you're playing like story mode, not 5-hit ult, excuse me, Chain Vanish. If you're playing story mode or another mode where it's not as important for you to have the 5-hit ult, this is really cool. That said, I do think this is more of a gimmick build. And it can work. People have cleared Nightmare Survival using builds similar to this. So I'm not knocking it. I just don't think it's as strong as some of the other builds I talked about here today have, you know, good potential with hybrid and where you're able to run deft hands instead. But I do think this build is viable. I do think it's very strong. Currently, I think these are the three close to optimal assassin builds. I've already talked about most of the techniques here kind of in lieu of the builds, but unless you were running Toxic Vanish Radius, I don't think it's super worth it still. I don't think Group Vanish is hardly ever worth it anymore. For the most part, Refreshing Vanish, unless you're with a team where you're really not taking much damage, is going to outshine it, but having this ability really just makes it so you can also play support, heal your teammates up, and go to the shop without worry. Here, there are some people that run Super Strike. I've never loved it because I just really prefer Assassin ulting. I think really the strongest trait the Assassin has is mobility. So I'm still running double legendary here most of the time. This is the tree I switch the most between. Nightshade is really good, but you have to have a good deal of poison damage or it's really not too worth it. Then again, the Masamune Poison Blade procs are insane and will do about 60 to 70% to a purple Oni if you can get those to proc together. Which sounds ludicrous, but does happen. The damage is really there. Still taking the 5-hit ult unless you were running the Toxic Vanish build. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I think you'll find a lot of success with these builds if you give them a shot. Please like and subscribe or leave comments, ask me questions, and I'll have some more videos up for you soon. Take it easy.